Are you serious? You used my ring. I repeated, voice cracking with disbelief as I stared at the receipt in my trembling hand. It was a balmy Thursday evening at a bustling downtown cafe, and yet in that moment, the world had shrunk to just me and the harsh truth. My name is Kevin Summers, and what I discovered that night upended everything I thought I knew about love, betrayal, and even the value of a cherished memento. It began innocently enough. I'd been with Allison for nearly 3 years, sharing our laughter, dreams, and quiet moments of intimacy. One of the most tangible symbols of our commitment was the ring I had saved for months to purchase, a unique, vintage piece that I'd inherited from my late grandmother, imbued with memories of family traditions and the promise of a future I had once envisioned with her. I had planned everything in secret, a weekend getaway, a candlelit proposal, the kind of moment that would etch our love forever. I was excited, nervous, and utterly devoted. But life, as it often does, had a twist waiting in the wings. A few weeks before the planned proposal, I lent the ring to my best friend, Marcus, a gesture I thought innocent enough, as he needed a family heirloom for a special occasion of his own. Marcus promised to take great care of it, assuring me that nothing would happen to it. I believed him. After all, we had been friends since childhood, and the ring had always been a symbol of trust, not rivalry. Then came the day I found out. Allison had been planning what she called a little surprise for me. I still remember how she smiled coyly when I asked if everything was set for our getaway. "Oh, Kevin, you have no idea," she had said, eyes twinkling with excitement. I assumed she was organizing a romantic evening, maybe even a secret dinner at a fancy restaurant or a small, intimate proposal of her own. But that night, while I was downstairs at our favorite late-night hangout, a text ping from Marcus made my blood run cold. It was a screenshot of a social media post, and there, bold in a post's caption, was a picture of Allison wearing the ring on her finger, while standing beside another man, in a sunlit park, with a look of pure ecstasy. The caption read, "Forever starts now. #engaged." My heart plummeted as disbelief, betrayal, and a sickening sense of being utterly deceived overwhelmed me. I slammed my phone down, the noise drowned out only by the roar of my inner turmoil. Marcus had sent me the screenshot along with a brief message. "I'm so sorry, man. I just realized something's wrong." I knew then that everything I believed about our future was a lie, one forged in secrecy by the very person I loved. For days, I raged against my fate. I replayed every conversation, every subtle hint I had missed. I wondered how Allison, the woman who promised honesty and love, could have allowed someone else to use something so deeply personal as my ring to propose to her. The shock was paralyzing, and I was left drowning in the bitter pain of betrayal. I refused to let it end there. I needed the truth to be known, and I needed to reclaim some small piece of my dignity. The next morning, my first thought was to confront Allison, but the anger was still too raw, the hurt too immediate. I decided instead to take a different, unorthodox approach. I remembered that receipt from Marcus, the one he had given me when I lent him my ring, acknowledging that I had done so as a gesture of trust. That receipt, which I had tucked away in my wallet as a memento of our lifelong friendship, suddenly transformed into a symbol of the entire debacle. It wasn't just a simple paper, it was the evidence of what I had entrusted to someone, a promise, now broken. And in my hands, it became a tool for reclaiming the narrative. I began meticulously scanning through every digital trace of that day, every email and text conversation related to the ring. The receipt was crisp, its details unambiguous, and it provided the inkling of what I needed to prove. With that evidence, I made a fateful decision. I would sell the receipt to a popular relationship and lifestyle blogger known for exposing stories that were both hard-hitting and real. It wasn't about Monetizing my heartbreak, though, admittedly, a little vindication wouldn't have hurt. It was about making sure that the truth, raw and unfiltered, reached an audience far beyond my circle. I wanted the world to know that trust can be shattered, that loyalty can be betrayed, and that even cherished objects can become the unwitting witnesses to infidelity. I contacted MIA, the blogger whose work had always resonated with me. I'd followed her for years. Her posts illuminated the hidden layers of relationships and often gave voice to those who felt misunderstood. In a carefully worded email, I shared my story. My fiancé, who I thought was the love of my life, used my ring, a ring of immense personal value, to propose to someone else. Attached is a scanned copy of the receipt I received from Marcus when I lent the ring to him, a symbol of trust now turned bitter evidence of betrayal. I hesitated before sending it, unsure if exposing this raw moment of my life to the public was the right thing to do. But the need for truth and the desire to rebuild my shattered identity overcame my hesitation. Within days, MIA replied, enthusiastic and empathetic. Kevin, your story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. I believe it's a story that many will relate to, and it deserves to be told. Let's share your journey, your pain, your anger, and ultimately, your triumph over betrayal. I'm ready when you are. The response ignited a fire inside me. Over the following weeks, MIA worked with me to develop a detailed post that chronicled everything. From the moment I discovered Allison's secret Instagram post to the shattering realization triggered by the receipt. We recorded a short video interview where I spoke candidly about my emotions. I was shattered. I confessed on camera, voice raw yet determined. That ring symbolized more than just a proposal. It was a promise I believed in. To see it used by someone else, to be reduced to a mere prop in someone else's story, was devastating. But I refused to let that define me. I decided to reclaim my narrative, and that began with this receipt, which now tells a story of betrayal and the resilience to rise above it. Mia's article went live, and the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded with comments and shares. People from all corners of the internet reached out to me, some in solidarity, others sharing their own heartaches, and many praising the courage it took to expose such a personal betrayal. The hashtag #RingTruth trended for days, a rallying cry for transparency in relationships and a declaration that true value should never be stolen. In the midst of the viral storm, my phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from friends, acquaintances, and even strangers. Your story is real, one message read. Thank you for showing us that no one is invincible when it comes to love, said another. The validation and support bolstered me, even as it deepened the wounds of loss. The aftermath. The public exposure of my story had unforeseen consequences. The media picked up on Mia's post, with local TV stations and newspapers seeking interviews. I appeared on a regional talk show, where I spoke about betrayal, trust, and the power of reclaiming one's personal narrative. I'm not trying to punish anyone, I explained on air, but I'm here to say that when you place your trust in someone, you deserve that trust to be honored. And when it's violated, you have every right to demand the truth and to rebuild your life on that foundation. The conversation with Allison eventually became unavoidable. In a discreet meeting arranged by a mutual friend who mediated between us, I confronted her. Allison, I saw your post, I saw the pictures, and I saw your message, using my ring to propose to him. How could you do this? She looked down, tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Kevin. I never intended for you to find out this way. I was confused, and I thought I could create something new, something that wasn't burdened by my past. I'm not trying to excuse what I did, she said softly. But please understand that I struggled with who I was, and in a moment of weakness, I took a path I regret. I listened, the hurt inside me coiling into anger and sorrow, but also, surprisingly, into a strange sense of closure. I needed to know the truth, I said, voice steady. And now that I do, I have to move on with my life. I hope you can someday find the strength to be honest with yourself and with those who love you. The conversation was painful, and we parted with no promises of reconciliation. The damage was done, and the wound, though it would eventually heal, would remain a reminder of the price of deceit. Turning the page. In the wake of that confrontation and the viral spread of my story, I experienced an unexpected transformation. I began to channel the raw emotion of betrayal into creative projects that allowed me to reclaim my identity. I started working on a personal memoir titled My Ring, My Truth, a candid recounting of my journey from heartbreak to empowerment. I poured into it every scrap of pain, every moment of resilience, and every lesson learned from exposing the injustice. The writing process was cathartic. It forced me to confront every conflicting emotion and to turn what was once a symbol of betrayal into a badge of strength. Simultaneously, I became more active in online forums, contributing to discussions about honesty in relationships, digital transparency, and the importance of standing up for one's self-worth. My story inspired others who had been hurt in similar ways. I received emails from individuals who felt validated in their own struggles, who confided that my experience had given them the courage to speak up about their own betrayals. I realized that my pain was not just my burden, it was a bridge to others, a shared narrative that united us in the understanding that betrayal can be overcome with truth and resilience. I also noticed something unexpected. Some people began approaching me with business ideas, partnerships, and proposals for creative projects. One such person was MIA, the blogger who had first shared my story. She proposed a collaborative project, a short documentary that would expand on Ring Truth, exploring the broader implications of digital evidence in exposing personal betrayal and reclaiming one's narrative. "Your story opened a door for so many of us," she said in a follow-up email. "Let's show the world that even the most personal artifacts, like a ring or a receipt, can become powerful symbols of truth when wielded with courage." I agreed, and soon, we began filming interviews with individuals who had experienced similar heartbreaks, weaving in expert opinions on technology, trust, and personal accountability. The documentary, tentatively titled Symbols of Truth, became a passion project that added another layer to my journey. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the collective strength of anyone who'd ever been doubted, deceived, or dismissed. The project resonated deeply with audiences, and early screenings at local film festivals earned accolades for its raw honesty and innovative approach. Looking back and moving forward. Now, as I sit in my study in the quiet hours of the night, pen in hand and laptop glowing softly in the darkness, I reflect on the path that led me here. The receipt, a seemingly insignificant scrap of paper, had turned into the catalyst for a cascade of events that reshaped my life. I remember the day I first discovered the truth on that fateful social media post, the moment when betrayal hit me like a tidal wave, and the long, lonely nights spent sifting through digital evidence that confirmed every painful suspicion. I recall the bitter taste of deceit and the chilly fear that gripped my heart. And yet, those moments, so full of sorrow and disbelief, became the foundation upon which I rebuilt my life. I learned that the objects we cherish, like a ring or a receipt, are not just physical items. They hold our memories, our dreams, and sometimes, the evidence of our deepest betrayals. But they also hold the power to ignite transformation. I transformed my pain into art, my heartbreak into a story that could inspire and heal. I refused to let deception define me. Instead, I chose to confront it, document it, and ultimately, to share it with the world. The viral spread of my story, the outpouring of support, and the unexpected opportunities that followed reaffirmed that truth, even when painful, carries an undeniable power. I continue to build on that foundation every day. With every conversation I have with someone who's been hurt, every new collaborative project, and every moment I take time to write and reflect, I honor the journey I've been through. I am not defined by the pain of betrayal, but by my resilience in overcoming it. My story stands as a testament to the fact that in our modern digital age, even the smallest piece of evidence, the details etched in a receipt, the unalterable data on a screen, can pave the way for reclaiming our narrative. So, if you ever find yourself facing betrayal, if someone you love uses your cherished tokens to build their narrative and then dismisses your pain, know this: document your truth. Record every detail, hold on to every scrap of evidence, and never let anyone rewrite your story. Because when you stand up and share your truth, even in the face of overwhelming adversity, you not only reclaim your dignity but also empower others to do the same. That is my story, a journey from heartbreak to empowerment, from betrayal to vindication, all sparked by a simple, misunderstood receipt. I was hurt when he proposed to her with my ring, and I sold the receipt to a blogger who brought my story to the world. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my narrative, about showing that when you hold on to the truth, no matter how painful, you have the power to transform your life and the lives of those around you. As I close this chapter for now, I want you to remember, the truth is your most powerful ally. In a world filled with digital traces and fleeting moments, it is the lasting record of who you are and what you stand for. Embrace your story, share it with the world, and let every scar, every bruise, and every triumph serve as a reminder that you are unbreakable. For in the end, it is not the betrayal we endure but the strength we find within ourselves that defines our destiny.